And scare me with lip, I'm spontaneous. Ain't prepare me to quit. I'm the only captain who's sailing this championship. I
gotta hold down the city.
Gotta let you know where I come from.
I gotta hold down the city.
Gotta let you know.
I gotta hold down the city.
Gotta let you know where I come from.
What's going on, everybody? Let me get this green screen fixed a little bit. Yeah, we'll get that straightened out. It ain't Talk to Me Tuesday, but it's definitely on Voice Sports Night. You know, we're going to bring a guy in here, see if he's got the roulette wheel on his head. Taco Tuesday, my man Wayne. What's up, Wayne?
What's going on, Mikey?
Where's the roulette wheel tonight? Taco Tuesday.
I changed my flavors up for the neighbors. You know what I'm saying? We always got to keep it fresh in here.
Shout out to Voice Nation. You see, I got the background over here, Voice Sports.
Look at
What's
you
happening?
fired up, boy. Look at you fired up. Gucci down. Gucci. What's good with you, Mike? How you feeling today?
All right. You know, I'm doing it. Just, doing my thing, just trying to promote this, these kids and, just trying to do our thing, slow motion better than no motion, The haters are out there and full of...
Talking about the AD, the Vern champion Amica in the building. Got to bring her in.
The mobile, I was talking about the AD all week, about what she explained last week being, the mobile AD. And I was like, more states need something like that. So people listen up, pay attention.
Man, the topic for tonight, we're going to open up the floor and we're going to have a couple of different debates on it. As I know around 8 o'clock hour, I'm expecting Samson to come through so we can rap a little bit about, for the lack of a better term, how far or how much is too much in terms of trash talk, whether it's on the youth level or the high school level. We'll talk about that a little later, so let that sizzle in your spirit for right now. But right now, we're going to jump into a topic that's very pertinent for many of the kids in the youth level that's converting to high school and high school converting to college, is that there's far too many student athletes moving around the country looking to find ways to get on the collegiate radar. And you have certain entities out here that feel like if you pay them X amount of dollars, they'll put you in that position. Well, I want to introduce you again to the AD as well as A&A Athletic Consulting as a medium for you to be able to get yourself from point A to point B. And we're going to talk a little bit about how the roles and what position you play, how your grades all factor into it, because regardless to what road you on, every student athlete's path to where they're going is completely different. You can't say, oh, because this young man over here got 15 offers as a wide receiver, why can't my son, who's a center, get the same, if not more? So we're going to open up the floor for that, and we're going to start off, let everybody introduce themselves formally. We'll tell everybody how you got attached to Voice Sports and your feelings on this initial topic, which is the challenges of players going from high school to college. Bailey, I'll let you go first, since she flows so well in the Ravens won this week, so I'm pretty sure she's got plenty to say.
Heck yeah, we won. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the game, but just knowing we beat the Chiefs is good enough for me. As long as we don't, lose against the Steelers, because I wouldn't hear the end of it. So
see, look, man. So how long we been together, Bailey?
Since I was what, 14, 15? And
wow.
I'm 23.
Wow, it's been a minute.
I'm not good at math. I'm not going to attempt to do math, but that long.
Hey, again.
And I kind of just walked into the booth because I was tired of my parents, and I kind of sat there, and you're like, well, if you're going to sit here, you're going to do something. So I did the scoreboard for the first time.
Man. Thank you for all your service, everything you've always done and always being there for us. My question again was, what have you seen in the transitions and the difficulties as being a going from high school to college for your brothers firsthand? Because I know you've seen it yourself.
It's not as iron cut clean as we all think that we think it is. It's not. There's always something or someone that happens, but if you put in the effort and if you put in the effort for yourself, as well as, like I said before, like the technology, and especially the nowadays you have so many resources, whether it's a library or a laptop or a phone, you can record yourself, go through your game film and make your highlight tapes, put it out there, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Do what you got to do, because you are your own PR.
Do you think do you feel like the high school guidance counselors or the coaches had a big role in their success going to the next level?
They played a smaller part, I would say. I would say that like my brothers themselves played the biggest part, because, like I said before, like you're your own representation of yourself. So if you continue to be yourself on and off the field, if you continue to do the right thing, not go out party, don't smoke, do your homework, study and make those connections with like other people as well as your coaches. I mean, they can definitely put in a good word, but at the end of the day, it's you yourself and your support system behind you.
So for the record, what schools do your brothers go to?
My younger brother Chance is currently at Ole Miss in Mississippi, starting linebacker number 44. If you guys want to check him out next week, I believe they play Alabama. Great game. And then the youngest, as Wayne calls it, Mr. Football, is currently at Fork Union, which is a military boarding school in Virginia. Playing quarterback, killing it. I think he has a game this weekend. If you go to Fork Union Academy, I think it's .org, or you just Google Fork Union football. You could probably find the live stream there. He's number 9 if you want to check him out. And then there's little old me.
Dope stuff. And it's just you here, Voice Sports.
Yeah.
Man, we got the Ohio player in here representing for Ohio. The player. What's going on, Chris?
What's going on with y'all?
Man, greetings from the Voycesports universe, my man. You know, Hood Skip in here. Hey, for those kids you see up there in Ohio, is it any different? The difficulties transition from high school to college, and what do you think most of those kids they endure in that process trying to get there?
So the process down here is a little rough, man. I mean, you got some of the coaches that care, and you got some of the coaches really, they just want you for their high school, that football Friday night, to keep their job. So basically down here, man, you got to do it all for yourself. Your grades, to the recruiting, to the HUDdy, to the huddle. You got to do everything yourself, man. So it's pretty tough going from here into college. The transition and then the schools in here in Columbus by itself, it don't prepare you for college studies. So it's killing a lot of our athletes that's leaving Columbus, going into college, and they're getting kicked off the rosters or leaving the colleges as they go to different colleges when they go D1, because the fact is they weren't taught right in the classroom. So when they go there, they're going to try to figure out on their own how to do the studies there, and plus, get ready for the playbook that they get. Because, them college playbooks is nothing to play with. So for them to try to put that hand-to-hand together, a lot of them fail. A lot of we only had a couple succeed, We had Malik Harris, that plays for the Baltimore Ravens now, came out of One Up Ridge High School. He went to Ohio State University.
Come on, man. You're not gonna do that tonight.
But shout out to my Cowboys though, Bailey. I ain't no Ravens fan. But even his transition, it didn't go as smooth as it looked. His dad had to take the initiative to get him into the Ohio State University. You know how hard it is just to get Ohio State to show up to a kid's game.
Hey, Skip, next time somebody say something about the Ravens, mute him, man.
Hey, Skip, Hey,
You
still
know
don't
what?
do that.
Keep yourself in your little Steelers world over there, all right? Because we beat the Chiefs.
Hey, look, man.
Be proud of
Now,
us.
with all that being said, we gonna open up the floor like nobody else does, because right now I'm going to kick this question over to the AD herself. So if you got any questions or feel like you can speak for the kids in your area, the coaches in your area, the families in your area, this is an opportunity where we get a chance to talk to the AD herself and get a perspective on it that will help not only the listener watching, but if you have any questions, provide her as a resource for you to get that information.
Before
AD,
you do that, give me 1 second. I want to introduce you to somebody that went to a Division I school from public school. I told him I'd bring him in. He's a referee. His name's Emerson Kilgore. He went to Syracuse University. Emerson, welcome. This is my Voice Sports Nation. Wayne up at the top. How you doing, Emerson?
I'm doing well. How's everyone doing?
Man,
how we doing?
spectacular.
Good.
Pleasure
Good.
to meet you. Heard so much about you, man.
Thank you. I pay Mike well to speak good about me. So
Oh yeah.
he's doing the job.
Man,
Emerson, great guy, and I figured since he went to the Division I, I figured he'd be great to come in on this conversation, and we had this conversation 100 times, but you can carry on, Wayne. I just wanted to bring him in. And
spectacular. Emerson, for the experience that you have in coming to the table firsthand, again, I salute you, your efforts, your energies, and I've heard so much from Mike about how you've been able to pour back and give information to this coming generation.
Yes.
What's your feelings on how this is going on now, where the difficulty of the transition of the parents? I would say it starts as early as maybe 9th, 10th grade. But for some reason, you had this influx of kids in 11th and 12th grade having that difficulty of even registering with the NCAA, knowing about it, and that transition to go to school. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how that transpires and how we play that into maybe helping somebody watching at home.
Well, my journey was definitely a different one. I mean, first, obviously, I'm from Rhode Island, and when I went to Syracuse, it was back in the mid to late 90s, and the whole world of football is different from back then. But my personal experience was, first of all, to be recruited in Rhode Island to a Division I school back then was basically unheard of. I know we have more now than we ever had, but back in the mid and late 90s, I mean, it was just. I'll just put it this way: when I stepped into Syracuse, I was one of 3 players from Rhode Island that was on a Division I roster. So things were much tougher back then. It's easier for these young men now, literally just click a button and your film's in front of the coach. So, with me, it was, sending a lot of VHS tapes out and just getting my name out and, really excelling in all sports that I did, because I did football, wrestling, and indoor and outdoor track. So, it was doing my absolute best to be noticed as an athlete coming out of the state, and then, letting the pieces fall where they may. Obviously now it's a little bit different. Obviously you got Huddle and, Max Preps and, a lot of different avenues you can take. But, I think one of the bigger problems now is that there's a lot of misinformation that's going out now. Like, a lot of people are thinking, oh, well, I can do this or I can do that, or, all these college coaches are just going to come and, all this and all that. And honestly, it really starts with both the coaches and the parents. There's just folks that are just misinformed. They don't know what they're doing. I've seen many atrocities here in Rhode Island where the kid has the talent, but the grades are absolutely terrible. And for me, to see these young men with this exceptional talent and not be eligible, there's no excuse not to be eligible. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what situation you're in. I know things are tough. I can respect, people that, young men and young ladies for that matter, they're in really tough situations. But if you as a coach know that this young man and young lady has some potential, it's time to push. It's time to get the guidance counselor involved. It's time to get the teachers involved. And there really is no excuse. I can't thank the coaches, my parents, my guidance counselor enough, because again, I wasn't a straight A student. I'll be the first to tell you.
Right.
Okay. There was times that I struggled, but when I was struggling, every once in a while I got pulled to the side. Like, hey, listen, you have that goal in mind. Well, this is what you got to do. And then I had to make a decision. So, and it's the same thing now. Like, I feel that part hasn't changed. There has to be effort from in the classroom and obviously on the field of play. So, being ineligible, to me, there's no excuse for that. So, that's the first part. I think the second part of it is a lot of these coaches need to get, more in tune with what's going on in the world of college sports. Thinking that they're, back when they played, this is how it works. These coaches need to get more involved. If they got a player that they think can play at the next level, they need to figure out, okay, what's the best way to get there? How is this going to work for this young man and young lady? Because ultimately, you have their future in your hands. And yes, It does take a lot of work from all involved, but to me, it's like, these coaches need to learn more in network and figure out the best way for these young men and young ladies to get to that next level. And, unfortunately, a lot of them slip through the cracks. I know that's the case here in Rhode Island. I'm speaking from the experience I've dealt with here in Rhode Island, dealing with a lot of young men here. They have the talent. God knows they have the ability. But, when I see nothing but D's and F's and, you get a B in gym, that's great. But everything else is D's and F. Sorry, that's not right. That's not okay. And again, it's like, that talent is basically wasted. And
so you can say it's a greater responsibility that needs to be taken on the collective, and not just the student, not just the counselor, not just the coach, but as a collective, that a greater responsibility needs to be placed on if you're going to get them to where they need to go.
Correct. I think everyone needs to do their part. It's not just the coach. It's not just the parents. It's not. Everyone has to do their part. And unfortunately, there's some parts that don't always do their part, and these kids end up slipping through the cracks. And honestly, Rhode Island's a perfect example of that, because there's a lot of time. I know we're the smallest state, and we're not. Obviously, when people say football, obviously Texas and Florida and Georgia are the first states that come to mind. But I will be the first to tell you that there is good football played in this state, regardless of how small we are. Okay, but the problem is the problem's starting to alleviate a little bit now. But the problem is a lot of these kids. Even back when I played, they slipped through the cracks. There was definitely. I'm not going to mention names here, but there was a running back I played against in high school. He could have very easily went Division I, but unfortunately, grades. Grades, and he got caught up in the streets and stuff. So, it's things like, but again, as a coach, if you know this kid has a talent and, you feel he can play at the next level, it's time to pull him or her, for that matter, aside. But hey, listen, you want a chance to play, get your education paid for in full or partial or whatever the situation is. This is what you need to do. Then it's up to them to do their part. If they choose not to, you walk away from it. Obviously you keep working with them, but ultimately, all players, coaches, parents, they have to do their part to ensure that they make it to that next level.
Right. Now, along with everything that we've discussed already, ladies and gentlemen at home, and I know Mikey's going to jump in whenever you feel like it, we're going to take it to the next level. We're not going to just discuss the problem. We're going to address it. So that's why we bring in RAD, representing as always. Brian, whenever I'm going to give you the floor, and Coach Kilgore Bailey, my man, Ohio player, I believe the bad guy will be here in a minute. I want to give the floor to her, Laverne. For those kids now who are making that transition from youth to high school and high school to college, tell us a little bit about A&A Athletic Consulting and how this plays into that factor, because we can't keep having kids in 11th, 12th grade sitting there saying, how do we get to school?
Okay. The A&A Athletics said last week, I'm a mobile athletic department. You don't have to live in the state of Maryland. You don't have to be in the DMV to receive support from my team. My team consists of a head football coach that's very successful in getting athletes in schools, even if your school is not winning. But sometimes kids and families feel that you only have to be on the winning team, and people are not going to find you, but people are not going to respect you. They're not going to recruit you if you're not on that winning team, which is one of the reasons why kids are floating around, going from school to school, got 4 years, 4 high schools in 4 years, trying to find that team that is going to give them that name notoriety that's going to make them recruitable. However, and sometimes all of that movement, their grades begin to suffer. Some of the kids going from youth football to high school football, they choose to go to the private schools because private schools promise them a whole lot of stuff, that they'll go to the private schools and you'll stay there. Sometimes they get on the roster, don't get that freshman bump, then or they can't survive the classroom, the academic rigors. So a parent and a child has to be honest with themselves as to what their academic IQ is in order to stay within the private schools, and don't just shun the public schools as if they don't exist and it has to be one of those private schools that's going to get you where you want to be. As a coach, the good coaches, what they do, the good coaches, when colleges start that recruiting, they start coming into the building, you know, coaches that have their profiles of all their athletes from their whole package. So it's the transcripts, it is the SAT scores, is their personal statement, is their full profile, and their measurables, everything is right there in a drawer in the file. Me as an AD, I will have some in my desk just in case if the football coach, basketball coach, whoever wasn't there, I would have some in my desk, so I would know. So if they came by, then you would say, okay, boom, we want to talk to this student. Well, say if University of Mississippi, because we had mentioned them already, they came out and they wanted to talk to an athlete, and they already that recruiter already said this is the academic requirements to be able to get into our school, because when an athlete has to understand, they have two eligibility requirements to make. One is the NCAA, which is the athletic side of it, and then the academic side of it with the university admissions process. They are not one and the same. And that's where a misconception also happens. So where you may clear the NCAA part, you may not clear the academic part for the university. So what some of the good coaches do, when a coach might come in just to see, say, the running back, but you have three other athletes that fit that academically fit the school and also have their clearinghouse stuff done. So all four of them will come down to the office, and so the coach will meet the primary person he was coming to see. He'll see the tailback, he'll see a linebacker, he'll see a quarterback. He will see those individuals too. And now they are also on the radar for that university. And you also know that they can get in. Now from the parent side, the parents have to understand that, first of all, treat this as if they're not an athlete at first. Understand what it takes to go to college, because again, no matter what you do athletically, if you cannot get into the college, it's not going to work. You got to have what your plan is going to be. So you got to run both tracks at the same time. In order, if you get admitted into the college, and then you say, okay, coach, I'm interested in your school, I'm already admitted into the college. They'd be like, oh, really? Already? Yeah. So guess what? That's a headache off their shoulder. And all they got to do now is say, well, let's see if my coach, if we're gonna like you, if you could fit our program. Right. And so now you got the academic side, you're in the school, and right now you are a carrot that's sitting right there for a coach ready to allow you to walk onto his team, allow you to give you a scholarship you onto his team if you can fit the profile of what he wants for his athlete.
And so all that starts up front. All that starts up front before they even talk about the huddle videos and that one-handed catch this day and the big sack and the fumble recovery. Before all that comes into play, they go into your grades. So let it be known, and we always say this here. We've been saying it for years. I'm surprised Bailey ain't said it yet. The most important stat you always have to have is your GPA. Let's get that off the break. Now, there's a misnomer that some people say that 3.0 qualifies you. We all know 3.0 just basically says that's the average. Anybody that disagree? Also, there was a statement made earlier this week that flew my eyebrows up as the word was spread or brought to my attention that going into this school year, student athletes transitioning from high school to college aren't required necessarily to take the SAT exam.
Not until 2023.
It's been waived. It's been waived. The 21-22 school year. those athletes, the SATs have been waived.
Yep.
Because that's
So
called
let me
one of the
ask,
COVID
so let me
waivers.
ask the question to you. So let me ask this question to you, and I know Samson here as well. If I'm a parent at home and I'm sitting here thinking about this, and I want my kid to go to school, even though they said the SAT is waived, do I still want them to take the test to find out where they stand?
Yes.
I mean, it's really optional from what I understand.
I would.
It depends. It depends where you're
I mean,
gonna,
I
where
would
you
say
think you're
this.
gonna.
You're not going to get. They don't look at it. They're
Yeah,
not looking at
so
it.
it's not
Not no
So
more.
why
required
stress
But
on
it's
anymore.
that
not.
but versus knocking out the grades that you have now? What you might need to do is see what you need to possibly try to pull up if it's eligible to be pulled up. Because with the 10x7 rule, you can't go back after your senior year to make up anything. So these juniors really got to know where they stand. As far as if they messed up last year, they need to know if they need to take a
Right.
credit recovery class, what's going to actually wipe away and improve that grade point average. That's what they need to focus on instead of, possibly taking something that they don't need. Now, class of 23, it's going to come back, or it may come back different. That's the word on the street. It may come back different as far as how they're going to require the SAT and ACT, because not
Okay.
having it now definitely exposes a whole lot as it relates to really can a person meet college requirements? Can they meet the academic rigors of a university? And it's not based on the score. But however, when it comes to athletics, you as an athlete, now what they're really going off of is your character, your film, and your grades. So what is going to make you stand out? What's going to make you different? Because everything is relatively equal at this point. So what's going
It's
to make you
equal.
different than what you're going to stand out from to make them come get you?
The reason I say you still take the SAT, because I mean I'm looking beyond just eligibility. You don't take the SAT and you just going off your GPA. Let's say your high school had a weak ass education curriculum, like some of the ones do up here. Their educational curriculum is weak. So you don't take your SAT, and then all of a sudden your first semester in college, you realize you can't handle the classes that they didn't give you. So like
Well,
that's
that happens. But that
That
happens
happens to
anyway.
me.
But the
That
SATs
happens
isn't really
anyway.
about what you learned in school, right? Isn't the SAT? It's not really about what they taught you in school. It's about kind of more common sense based, isn't it?
Not necessarily. For at least for like in my experience when I applied to school back in 2016, I knew that I wasn't a good standardized tester. I knew that, it freaked me out to like have my entire knowledge based off of a very broad sense of a test that doesn't really get to show you who I am as a person, as well as how much I actually do know. And I knew that what got me into school was my college essay, and the overall, my overall profile is what got me, and not necessarily just my. Granted, I did have pretty good grades. I mean, I had I want to say like a 3.5 GPA out of high school.
Right.
But I
So,
think for me,
so let me
I would
ask you
say
this, Emerson, since we got a resource, here, Emerson, when you went into school, how important was your SAT and ACT scores in your recruiting process when you went in? Now we also know it's been almost a decade prior, but tell us how important it was then.
It was important. However, they were more concerned about my grades in high school. They were really concerned about obviously my math and my English. My English was fine. I had a B+ average in English, but my math class I was struggling a little bit. So they wanted to make sure with that. But one point, and I don't know the lady's name, but one of the points that she made was about standardized tests. So one of the big problems with SATs is some folks are just terrible at taking tests. And and honestly, it does affect a lot of people in different ways taking these tests. So I don't really think the SAT is like a good showcase of what these young men and young ladies can actually do in college. I think because honestly, I've seen people score very high in SATs and then they go to college and get their butt kicked by the academic rigor. Okay, and then I've seen people who've just barely passed SAT and they do well in college. They can handle it. So the SAT is kind of, I mean, yes, it's important. Honestly, if you look at the research, like, back maybe 10, 15 years ago, basically between the SATs and your grades, they're trying to look at what your first semester grade is going to be. And that's kind of a piece of the SAT. And again, yes, it does have to do with some common sense and where you basically are in terms of everything they're looking for college. So, but again, please forgive me, I don't know names here, but the man who spoke right before me was like, there's a lot of schools, that they're, a lot of high schools that their academic programs are terrible.
Horrible.
Okay, and it's a disservice to these young men and young ladies trying to step it up and take it to the next level. But it should be based more upon, okay, once they get to college, they get through that first semester, okay, this is what college is really about. That's what it really should be. Yes, okay, we need the basics here. Okay, if you're struggling here, you should be able to get in most cases. I mean, obviously, if you've done nothing and things like that, that's one thing. But, you should have the basics there. And then that first semester, you have to take the class. And honestly, that's what happened with me. I mean, I did okay on the SATs. I was a B plus student. Okay, and then I got to college, and my first semester at Syracuse, it was a struggle. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I had no idea what I was getting into. My high school, God bless all my teachers and all of them. They helped me out. They got me to that point, but they did not prepare me for the work that I had to do at Syracuse. It took me a good semester and a half, to really start picking up. Okay, this is what I have to do. I have to step up my game. So. Right. I mean, a lot of the stuff with the SATs and all that, like, yeah, I know they need that as a baseline, but ultimately, is it a pure judge of what students can do? No, it's not.
Okay, so now we got
do a test anyway, do an interest test, especially for athletes.
Right.
They do a test, administer a test to see where they academically fall, and then that academic advisor comes in for athletics and reset that schedule.
Right.
No matter what your scores were, if your college test come out to say something different than what the SAT said, your 4.0 high school transcript said, if that college test comes out to say something different, you're going to be in them college survival classes for that first time around based on those scores. So that's what they call it.
Isn't that a huge part?
College survival class. I like that one.
That's what it was called.
Survival.
That's what it was called.
What's it called? Survival. What's it called?
They called it. Look, man, they used to call it college. They called it college survival. But of course, they changed the name of it because it made it sound nicer because they didn't want to act like it was 13th grade.
Right. Yeah, there you go. 13th
but
grade.
it's really based on your test scores, because I remember every fall athlete when I was at Central State University went into that doggone building, took them tests when they was on campus early, took the test, and the academic advisor came in and reset the schedules based on what they originally were put on their schedule. And of course, they had to fit the program of the football program as well. So that's how that went.
13th grade.
So we all mutually.
Right now, it's based on what
So
you
the one
currently
thing we all mutually agree on. So what we all mutually agree on going into this next phase is, no matter whether you're transitioning from middle school to high school or high school to college, the first thing you need to be on top of is your grades, right?
Oh, no
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah.
Secondly,
Can I add one more thing before we move on?
Secondly, you need to know who's there to help you, the role your counselor plays, your coaches play, and your parents play. Which would you say is more important, or do you think all of them as a collective have to be pulling for you?
All of them collectively. All of them, man.
Yes, all of them collectively.
Just
going on my experience.
Don't know no better. You got parents like I'm gonna be honest with you, especially down in our area. I'm gonna keep it a band with you, bro. We got a lot of families down here that generations on top of generations have lived in this area. Like parents, grandparents, the grandparents' parents, they all grew up in this area. They've lived here all their life. And a lot of them come from poverty-stricken areas where nobody in their family knows nothing about what it takes to get in college. So the counselors, the teachers, like they all have to really step in, like, because a lot of these parents really have no clue, bro, like no clue whatsoever.
Right. Well, I was saying, and honestly, his last name was Turnip. So I just caught it back of my eye. It does take a village. It is absolutely 100%. It needs to be everyone involved with this, with that athlete. But yes, as what was said earlier, a lot of folks, they don't know, and honestly, if they don't know, it's going to be up to the other pieces of the puzzle to pick up those pieces to get this young man or young lady to that next level. Because again, you can't keeping on with the same vicious cycle of, okay, we didn't know, tough luck, have a good life. Like that needs to be broken. I mean, that's been a constant problem, which I think this generation with, folks that have been to these levels and, as more folks get educated and more folks are, learning the ways to get to, higher education in athletics, those cycles are being broken, but it's still around. So the big thing is everyone involved has to play their role. It has to be a part. And again, for the folks, like if parents aren't going to be involved, because honestly, they don't know, okay, then, coaches and guidance counselors and teachers are going to have to step up a little bit, teach the parents, okay, this is what's going on. And however else it's going to work. If the guidance counselors don't know, if the coaches don't know, then they all need to figure it out for the best interest of the athlete.
Right. I agree with the AD too.
But the athlete themselves also has to put in that effort as well. I know for like my experience and learning from my brothers, we personally did our own research on like what schools we wanted to go to, what region we wanted to go to, if we wanted to stay close to home, go far away, if we to look into those, those athletic programs as well as just to make who coaches are, at least for like in the football aspect, know kind of what offense or defense, depending on like which side you're on, that they run. If you can adjust, if you know yourself well enough to adjust to those things, as well as not even like doing like just internet research, but also go out and visit those schools, make sure you have a good feel for it. Because I know for like me personally, I went to the school and I toured the school. I had a good feel for it, and I knew just like the environment plays a big part in your success, whether we want to admit it or not. Not just your grades. It's not just the people around you. It's also the environment of that school.
Man,
I agree with the AD too. I agree with the AD too, man. You first and foremost, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to know what you can really do, not just physically, but academic wise. You got to be honest with yourself. Don't put yourself in a jacked up situation.
Exactly.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, we got a special edition, as of course, we go all around the country. We do representing for the Big Apple itself, New York. My man is in the building. Coach Jay of the Phenomenal Mike and Jay Show. Give some love to New York. New York is in the house. What's up, Coach Jay?
What's going on, man? What's going on?
Come on, man. Talk a little of that 14-time state champion stuff, man. Come on, tell me what's going on.
And I represent the Staten Island Hurricanes, 14-time national champion. Got national champions in Pop Warner, AYF, UIFL. Come out of New York, and we play for the Big Apple Youth Football Conference.
Now, for you, I know by you being on top of that and being such a vocal feature in it on the media side now, of course, with 14 championship teams, you done seen your fair share of student athletes not only go on to high school, but high school and go on to college. What would you say is the biggest challenge for those kids once they hit 10th, 11th, and 12th grade and making that transition in New York?
Well, New York is like they say, is the concrete jungle. So it's not a lot of resources how it used to be back in the day. So now it's like if you don't play basketball, football, you're in the streets, and the programs, they cutting the programs and all this other stuff. So right now it's rough out here. I know during when we was locked down in the pandemic, it was like murders every day. It was like crazy out here. But there was nothing for these kids to do. So it's basically transitioning from being in the streets, and it's who you hang out with.
And I definitely appreciate you taking the time to come in and being that voice for the state of New York. Again, if you want to find out more about them, the Phenomenal Mike and Jay Show, check them out on YouTube. Another great extension of Voice Sports. And if you haven't noticed, no matter who we talk to, whether it was the AD here in Oxford Hill, whether it's the bad guy in VA, whether it's Emerson and Mikey in Rhode Island, as well as Jay in New York, this age bracket from 10th grade to 12th grade is in a huge disparity, even more so with COVID now, by taking away a lot of the different things. And we as a community and a collective have to be able to find ways to get these answers to these parents that have no clue how it's going. I say it all the time, and it blows me because you have so many of these kids with great talent and, again, invested in it. Either they don't know their grades are important. We putting that on the platform for them to know that. But regardless of what state you in, everybody has their fair share of problems. So please stop making it seem like this place is better than that place. Everybody has their problems. And any kid left behind is one too many. We can't complain about what they're doing in the streets or going into jails or going into the ground if we don't invest in them now when we got their ear. So again, for those, talk to me.
Wait, can I say something real quick? I know people, a lot of people take New York as, you know, your basketball state, or not all this and that, but the football community in New York, we all play against each other tonight or Saturday morning, all at the football games. You know what I'm saying? Even though we all play against each other, we're there for the kids. So we follow our kids after they do our program. So it's like at different high schools, we have different sections. Like we have sections for youth.
Right. So again, to not make this show seem like we
they don't really charge us to get in the games because they know.
Right. We gotta make that. I definitely believe the state is gonna make that transition. If they don't know, we're gonna show them.
Exactly.
Before I don't want to make it feel like we just beating up the problem. AD, let's talk a little bit about A&A Athletic Consultant. If they have any questions or concerns, somebody watching the show that need help in understanding, first of all, no matter where you from, your height, your weight, your age, your GPA, every story is different. How could they go about getting in contact with you if they need help getting to that next level?
All right, you can definitely inbox me on what is that? Facebook. I got to bring it. I'm multitasking here. You can inbox me on Facebook at Laverne Champion Amateur. I'm also on Facebook at Vigilant AD. You can inbox me there. I put in the chat, and I don't see it in there, but it's Aid for Athletes. Aid AI is tiny URL. Aid AID-4 the number 4 athletes. Aid for Athletes is where you can actually just kind of go ahead and register. And so I ask certain questions. It's a check-in sheet. Then that way I know. So when we have our first initial conversation, it is 30 minutes. I give you 30 minutes of my time to really get an idea as to what you are. And based on that questionnaire, we already know. I will already have a good idea of where our starting point is. And then I can help you through it. And then you can figure out what you're really going to want from me and my team. And we'll walk you through it. We're not one of the agencies that just send your stuff out. You know, if you need to help with the essays, we'll help with your essays. And we need to be able to have to input the information into the clearinghouse aspect. We put this stuff in the clearinghouse, and work you through that and let you understand how to read your transcript. We can help you do your 4-year plan so you can make sure you do the 10x7 properly. That's 10 credits, core credits by your 7th semester. A lot of people don't know what that means. They're hearing phrases and terms, but they don't understand it. But if you just simply want to just do a one-on-one chat, or either we could just do a group. I don't care. If you have an organization, you want me to just do a session for your group, that's not a problem. I can make that happen because I do it all the time. So just reach out. 301-404-1263 is my number. 301-404-1263 is my telephone number. Text me.
Put that in the comment section later
Look,
on.
my man Mike, you got it running at the stream at the bottom and everything. All right. So now we come into the last half hour of the show. This is when Samson gets his muscles on. Everything getting ready to go crazy now. And of course, you can't have a conversation like this without my man the referee I gotta have a ref. So Emerson here to keep your hands to yourself. we got Bailey to keep it calm and cool, because if she's like chill, you're gonna scare some people off. But I definitely had to have Jay in here because they're gonna bring that. You know, New York, baby. They ain't gonna say just let's say anything. And the AD just give us our facts. This last half hour, we're gonna put it on the table. We're gonna leave it just like this. If you got comments, ladies and gentlemen, come in the comments box. The statement is this: when is trash talk too much on the youth and high school level? When is trash talk too much on the youth and high school level? Let's talk.
We talking about football. We talking about golf.
We talk about everything. You want to go NFL? Go NFL.
We talking about sports.
I'm talking about sports in general because everybody love to talk smack. Everybody talk smack, but some people can't handle that. Especially when you talking about kids sports. Because hold up, you saying my son's in trash? I'm about to see you with the hands, Playboy. I'm about to put the paws on you.
Well,
I mean, it's part of the
hold
game.
on though.
So
if your son's trash, that's your fault, Dad. I mean, what you mean?
Look,
you should have put them hands. Listen, if your son is trash, instead of you putting your hands on somebody, put your hands on a cone, a practice dummy, or a football, and go teach him so he ain't trash. That ain't nobody's fault. But listen, football ain't no different than morals, respect, none of that. It starts at home. Stop bringing your 12-year. I'm going to keep it real with you. Stop. If you bringing 10, 11, and 12-year-olds to the football field that ain't never caught a football a day in their life, but yet you mad and you want to blame a coach that only got him 2 hours twice or three times a week for 2 hours when you didn't have him your whole life, you got to be mad at yourself first, bro.
You know what's funny? The funny thing is, though, right? Those are the people that pay first.
You ain't chasing them for registration fees.
Yeah, we tell them, listen, you came to play, and we're only guaranteeing you 5 plays. That's the rules.
Right. Only guaranteeing 5.
You know if you got an 8-play.
So y'all don't think that the trash talk prior to the games? You don't think the trash talk prior to the games has a certain point where it get too far? I mean, I've seen videos where kids are rah. We're gonna beat y'all. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that, and then they shoot another video to respond back, and then you get there and it's not. And the kids are totally cool. The kids look at it as a game. They hyped up, but it's the parent and the bleachers that can't separate it.
They ready to
fight. They want to be.
Yeah, I think it becomes a problem when sportsmanship cannot be. You cannot recognize where the line is for sportsmanship. You know, I always tell anybody, you ain't got to tear nobody else down to build yourself up. Right. You can talk when you talking trash. You can talk about how bad you are, what you want to do, and then back it up. Because if you put it out there and that doesn't say anything against anybody else, so they can't say you said this against me. Because again, it starts going with sportsmanship and putting down other people's children. Again, everybody has a reason why they start to play. And remember, all of us remember when we first started playing sports, it wasn't about all this competition stuff. It was for all the great things that sports give us. However, that has totally gone out the window.
Yeah, man, social media messed it up. I don't see
everything
people
become straight competition, straight I gotta be a dog coming out the womb kind of stuff. Man, it's unfair.
If you're an
dog, I done seen people put Jordan faces on the kid. I done seen people put Jordan faces on the kid.
Listen, let me tell you something. If you're an adult, if the kids is talking trash and you're an adult and you allow kids to talk trash, get you in your feelings, it's something more the matter than what's the matter. You got a problem within yourself that ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. If you're an adult and you can't handle kids talking trash to each other, then you shouldn't be around sports. Drop your kid off and go sit in the bleachers, go to home, do something else. Because you are the one that's messing the sport up. Period. And it's the same thing.
Right.
You're an adult.
It comes a problem. It also comes a problem with coaches when they start betting on the heads of those kids. We bet we're going to win. We bet
that's
this.
When it becomes
and
a
you
problem.
start betting on the heads of kids like they horses or something.
Hey, Mikey, this Mikey got blood boiling now.
Really have a problem. And I know down south they always got their little stacks going to the car. Well, put money on it, and then they want to sit there and. Man, I mean, they use kids like they horses and pawns, and like what that had nothing to do with the game. You know, why we betting on the kids? Then you start
I
telling
feel
them
like as
knock
long
your
as it ain't
flags out.
personal, as long as
Now
as
money
long
on
as
it.
you as long as you keeping it football, as long as you keeping it football, you ain't talking about line your mama up. I bust your mama ass too. As long as you ain't doing all that, long as you ain't doing all that and you keeping it football, I don't see nothing wrong with the trash talk. But when you get to the point where now you telling Lord Tommy, let your mama lead block for you. I'll knock her out too. Or where your daddy at? That's when it's going too far, bro. That's when
I
I
think
think
the
it's
level,
going too far.
I had a coach.
the level has
Right. I had a
depends
coach
on
back
the
in the day.
level of
We used to
competition
do the
though,
way
because
we used
like
to,
when you're trash talk when you're in college or in like later years of high school, like it's up to you to let it affect you.
Right.
Right.
So if you don't let them saying something about your mama affect you, then you're just gonna be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get you ass next.
Boy, you know how
next
many
time.
things that I heard my
Oh,
mom be called in my years.
like
For certain
I
neighborhoods, certain
I know
demographics, you can't let
I
that
done put
go.
the pause.
Hey,
I done
Right.
put pause on a
listen.
couple people behind that one, dog. My spidey senses is tingling right now. Let's change the subject. Talk about my mama.
Hey, listen.
But
Hey, Mikey. Hey, Mikey.
I mean, but they don't know your mom, so like, if you're gonna let that like
Listen.
stuff affect you, then it's all up in your head. So if you don't
Mamas
like,
is off
Right.
limits. Women
no,
and
So
children are
true,
off limits. Women
look,
and
true,
children
I
are
but
actually
off
have a
limits.
little. I have a different
as much as
perspective
you
on
want
this
to say
because I'm
mama's off
also
limits,
a
when it comes to
referee.
college football,
So
it's not off limits.
come on,
Nothing's
Emerson.
off limits in college.
right.
You know
So I have a little
Come
different
on, Miss
perspective on this because
Emerson, with
I'm a high
that.
school official in Rhode Island, and so honestly, I think a little bit of trash talk is actually good. Okay, but once you go past a certain point, then yeah, it's bad. So, but my thing is, so when I officiate in high school here, I let a little bit of it go because honestly, it's a part of the game, But I have to agree again, like there needs to be a little bit of mental toughness
Back.
on
Give a
everyone's
point.
behalf. Like, honestly, if someone's talking about your mom, your girlfriend, your sister, blah blah blah, and it's starting to get to you, you shouldn't be on the field. That shows me that you're not mentally tough enough to deal with whatever, because they're trying to throw you off the game. Listen, when I played in college, they did nothing but talk junk. That's all they
That's
did.
exactly what I was
Okay,
saying.
but you got to be mentally tough enough to deal with that. Okay, because again, to me, that's part of the game. Now, yes, they're gonna say stuff about your mom, and it is what it is. If that's gonna throw you off your game, that's the problem. Now, I do know as an official, there is only so much I'm going to let them say. Once they talk about, oh, I'm going to get you after the game and all this and all that, that's when the line is drawn. That's when I throw a flag and it's a 15-yard penalty. Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right.
So that's what someone said that a little while ago. That that's all to do with sportsmanship. Yeah, I just kicked your butt, stuff like that. Okay, watch it. Be careful. It is what it is with that. But ultimately, this is that is part of the game. Like if someone runs you over, what do you think he's gonna? Of course, he's gonna look back at you and like, yeah, what's up? That's going to happen because he just ran you over. I expect that. Okay, but there's also a point that okay, you do that and then you're done with it and then you move on. You keep going on with it, then there's going to be a flag thrown. So to me, it is a part of the game, but there's a certain level that will be tolerated. But if you're going to go past that level, then that's a problem. But again, people are going to say stuff about who your family members, whatever. You got to be mentally tough enough to deal with that.
I remember one day
Before we set before.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
Jay.
remember one day at a playoff game, my son, he was 8 years old, and I was coaching the 9-year-olds. So the coach that we played against, he actually went against my son on 8, and they played in Brooklyn. So they had to come back to town to play us because we were number 1 seed. So my son and them lost. He got the check and he goes to me, says to me, the dad down in Brooklyn. That was the worst thing he ever said to me.
What?
We beat them 40
Man, I done seen it all, bro. I done seen it all, bro. I done seen cats be like, look, man, I hit that boy so hard his mother grabbed her pelvis after the game. A smack talk is cool. I think it's a place for it. There's no way in the world I played this game in any basketball period. You gonna talk. It's part of the competitive nature. But when it gets to a point where You cross that line or that line gets crossed, and I'm not saying it to bring it up, but there was an incident between Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph last year. And Mason Rudolph snatched, Myles Garrett snatched his helmet off. Myles Garrett got suspended. I don't know if y'all remember it. But after it was over with, Myles Garrett said he said something to me and I just snapped. Some people aren't ready for all that, bro. So I want it on the youth level to make sure that the focus is placed on the kids have fun, parents can have fun, but when they get to the point you feel like you're ready to bunny hop the rail and out the bleachers and run onto the field, it's gone way too far. So to those people watching at home, have fun, enjoy yourself. But when it gets to a point where you feel like you honestly can't handle it, learn when to scale out of it. Because again, we talk about a kid's game. Even on the high school, your conduct in the bleachers as a parent impacts your kids in the recruiting process. Am I right?
It does.
Hey, guys, I gotta head out. It's nice to see y'all. I'll see you guys later.
All right, Betty, thank you for taking time.
Of course.
Again, we just want to make sure we not only talk about it, but provide answers and resources. So, what do you think in closing? We're going to give everybody 5 minutes to make a statement on both topics and turn it over to Mikey. We'll start off with Samson. Your thoughts on both topics?
I mean, man, for real, like, at the end of the day, my biggest thing, like you said, with the academic stuff, like the AD said, you just got to be honest with yourself. Parents got to be honest about their kids. Kids got to be honest with yourself. Don't put yourself in a bad situation. Not physically, or academically. You know what I mean? Don't jump out there and pick a college where the academic structure is too much for you. You know what I mean? And then as far as the trash talk, I gotta have it. Listen, I gotta have it, man. It's a part of the game, bro. Games would be any sport would be boring without the trash talk. I'm sorry. I feed off of it as a coach, as a player, the whole 9 yards. Like without the even in media now, games are they're bland. Old folks home food without the trash talk, bro.
Right. So we will definitely agree that the game cannot exist without it, but you have to practice a certain level of understanding when you see it's going too far.
Correct.
Emerson, your thoughts and final comments on both topics tonight.
Well, as far as the first topic, definitely no question in my mind that all parts of the picture need to be involved in getting these kids from point A to point B. I own a gym in Rhode Island, and outside of the actual training part, I do work with these young men and young ladies to get them to that point. So at any time, anyone that's listening here, both in Rhode Island and elsewhere, if you need that type of information, please feel free to contact me. My website is www.401strengthandfitness.com. You can email me at info@401strengthandfitness.com or hit me up on social media. So the second part, honestly, with trash talk, like I said, I'm a high school official. And, I know it's a part of the game, but there's certain levels that you really can't cross. So, honestly, it is about sportsmanship when you're out there. And, you don't want to be known as that guy that talks too much junk and, the referees and the coaches get to know you like that. So, but there's a certain level of trash talk that's part of the game. So you got to be mentally tough to deal with it and move forward. So, I just think that, there's an acceptable level, and once that's crossed, it's, it's going to be noticed and unfortunately flagged for some folks. So, but it's definitely a part of the game, and you got to be mentally tough enough to deal with it.
Thank you so much, Emerson, for coming in and joining, man. I can't wait to sit down and talk to you more, and elated to meet you in person. I thank you for contributing to the show tonight, man. I can't wait to see you in action.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on, guys.
My man.
You're the man, Emerson.
Your final thoughts on both topics.
Final thoughts. For parents and the athletes, please first of all let the coaches know the desire for your athlete, your student athlete, because your child is being coached doesn't necessarily mean the coach knows that they want to go to college. And I always say preparation means opportunity. So, prepare for the best, prepare for the end result, and allow the opportunities to come and be ready to capitalize on when those opportunities come. That's academically, starting with your 8th grade coming into 9th. I would say at that point, that's when your transcript officially starts. 8th grade coming into 9th. At that point, start tracking your courses, doing your clearinghouse, and again, all of those things that you need. Again, the tiny URL at Aid for Athletes is scrolling. Please just contact me and we can just see where you are. But it definitely 100% takes a village, and you are your best asset. You are your best asset. So be prepared to market yourself positively in your social medias, in your classrooms, because when they start asking about your character, because that's a question that comes up, allow somebody to be able to vouch for you and in your community, because the question will come up, because people lose their livelihood over athletes that can't act right when they get to that next level. As it relates to trash talk, I'm a coach, I'm a baller, I'm a player. So it's like, again, I'm always a person that don't tear the next one down to build yourself up. Talk that trash about how you're going to execute, how your team is going to execute, and then punish, and then do what you got to do. Like we got something that my volleyball team would say. We walk in the gym and we know that this team is not going to rock with us. We say 3:30. That's 3 games in 30 minutes. Get in, get out. Don't play with them. And we run the score off, 25, whatever, 25, whatever, 25, whatever. We go home. When we look at the clock, dang, we 3 minutes over. So you got to have your goals.
Right.
That's whatever's going to motivate you to do your thing. But you didn't go in there and talk about, we get ready to crush y'all, and you know it, right? Y'all might as well not suit up. That would be disrespectful, and that will cause animosity within the team. And I guess I don't know at what point in my life I became this peaceful, but I think because everything else is so uncivil around it, I got to make sure we stay civil. And because once you take that administrative role and you're responsible for everything in the environment as the official, as the AD, and stuff like that, you have to change your mindset. Even though I love to rock the crowd, let the band hit it on everything, but that's kind of think I had to ease back a little bit and make sure we keep a safe, orderly, civil environment.
One more time for the people who watching at home, if they want to get in contact with you, I definitely believe A&A Athletic Consultant is an outstanding outlet. I would never take anything away or say anything negative towards factions like NCSA, National Scouting and the Recruiting Service and all that. But if you want to learn how to do it yourself, you can save yourself a lot of pennies if you get in contact with the AD. Give me the website one more time, Mom.
The website is go to the website. This right here is tiny URL -aid for athletes. So that's the best way. That's the best way, easiest way. VigilanceSTC.com is the website. Vigilance STC, www.vigilancestc.com is the website for that that you can go to kind of see what A&A Athletic does as a whole. But tiny URL Aid for Athletes that is scrolling on the screen is where you can go ahead and get yourself in, so I could go ahead and look at it and pull you and call you and say, let's set up our 30-minute consult. We could figure out what we want to go next. And I think our key thing that A&A does that's special is that we do a more personalized service. I think that is one thing that makes us a little bit more
I think that's what's needed, because every situation is different individually. So it needs to have that personal touch. It can't just be done generically. So here at the 105 portion, hey, where we supposed to be. My man Mikey, on the wheels of steel, rocking everything, got us looking so good. Mikey, what's your thoughts on both topics?
Well, I'm going to go backwards on this one. You definitely got to trash talk, but don't trash talk if you're going to leave your heart on the bus. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You see a lot of these people out here trash talking and they get on the field. But as far as the schooling, get your clearinghouse done, get on Twitter, put your huddle on Twitter. You know, get in the weight room, do stuff like that. I was talking to Emerson today about this, that we need people like the AD to do recruiting services like this. We were just having a conversation similar to this earlier today and said that some people don't know what to do when it comes to making that next step. How do you even do the clearinghouse? When do you have to do the clearinghouse? Just different things like that. But get your butt on Twitter, get huddle, reach out to these recruiting guys all on Twitter, you know, and do the work.
I'm going to close it like this, and I'm going to say it flat honestly to everybody. Have fun. Remember, it's about the kids. If you're in high school, enjoy yourself, grow from it. And, of course, if you're in college or high school, you're going to deal with trash talk in all three phases. Just know your limits and know when it's time to walk away from it if it's not beneficial. Secondly, make sure you're on top of your grades. No matter how discouraging it may be in your area, your state, your corner, your county, your town, if your grades are you on point with your grades, the conversations change. It's a huge difference between talking to a kid with a 2.1 and a kid with a 4.0. Your options are massive. Academic scholarships are just as great and pertinent as sports, as athletic ones. So if you handle your grades, you open up yourself for a lot more options. Again, too, I think the parents, the coaches, the counselors, that's your community. You need to let everybody know you're serious about school, you want to go. And if you're not serious about school, don't get your parents involved and wrapped up and economically committed to something. And 3 days after on campus, you know you ain't going to class. That all these people put that effort and energy in place for you to get up there and think it's house party 4 and Kid and Play gonna come out. That's not how that works. Come on, man. So before people put that effort and energy into you to get you where you need to go, know if school is for you. If you're serious about going into the league or trying, know that there's only 1% that gets to that point. But there's a lot that comes through that process of high school ball, college ball, injuries, life situations. Everything is going to be on your back. You're going to have to handle that business. But with the grades right, anybody will listen to you and get you in the position to do it. I appreciate Emerson Kilgore coming on. Outstanding resource and information, not only as an active player himself, but as a referee, so you're getting it from two sides. And, of course, the conversation with the AD, because as a coach and as an athletic director, you see it from both sides. Shouts out to my man Samson, the bad guy, Bailey, for coming through, as well as my man, the Ohio player. And it's always got us looking good up in here. My man Mikey, a.k.a. Hood Skip. You know how we do. Hey, look, hey, Emerson. We say Mikey be going Skip Bayless sometimes, but he can spit some hot bars. You know what I'm saying? So we keep it gangster with him. So again, we want you to continue to watch us and see what we do here every Tuesday night here on the Voice Reporter Show, representing states from around the country. Because trust and believe, the things you endure in Rhode Island, New York, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Indianapolis, Florida, North Carolina, South Carolina. The only thing different is the area code. We all got the same problem. Kids got to get these grades together, and we as a community got to come together to do better for those coming up in the next generation. I myself want to do what we can to turn it around, and I know everybody around me feels the same way. Mikey, you got the closing statements, and we can shut us down. We're 10 minutes over, but again, it was worth it because somebody's listening to this, gonna make an adjustment and make a phone call. Check out that website, scrolling down in the bottom, and get right. Please stop calling me in the 12th grade. Something about you trying to figure out why Nick Saban ain't knocking on your door.
Wayne, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it. Emerson, you already know, thank you. Check out 401 Strength and Fitness if you want to talk to Emerson. He'll leave his information in the comment box. I got this one video I just wanted to play real quick. Hold on.
Qualified, that's a 15-yard penalty. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. First down. Excessive celebration. Offense number 87, smiling while scoring a touchdown, resulting in hurt feelings for the defense and potential negative future self-worth. That touchdown will be disqualified. That's a 15-yard penalty. Ball will be placed at the...
Yeah, you get it,
Wow.
Wow.
Emerson, thank you, man. Wayne, thank you. The
Oh
AD,
my God.
definitely, if you're looking for the mobile AD, not only in her state, in your state, any state, they'll send you the information. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And next
Like,
Tuesday.
love, share everywhere. Like, love, and share everywhere.
Oh, and you can hear this on iHeartRadio now this week. So iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple iTunes, so we everywhere.
Let's make a difference.
Right.
You and our youth consistently everywhere sports. They need us.
All right.
All right, thank you,
for
man.
having
Have a
me,
good
everybody.
night. All right, I'll
Okay.
talk to
Thank
you
you,
all soon.
guys.
Bye.
All right.
We have my guy Wayne, Emerson, the AD, Samson, the bad guy, came in. What a good show it was. Shout out New York City doing their thing, doing all the great football things, But thank you, everybody. Tune in next Tuesday again. It's your boy Mikey, man. We out.
You nervous with butterflies in your stomach? Don't try to intimidate me. You couldn't scare me with lip. I'm spontaneous, smart, dangerous, fancy and quick. My trainer told me to work. He ain't prepared me to quit. I'm the only captain who's sailing this championship.